We used to do so many office to gaming PC builds on this channel, but lately it's been a little bit hard to find a good use case for these smaller form factor PCs until we thought about a nice Linux PC.
Welcome to a $200 guide where we're going to show you how to build a console PC using an old office computer. It could be this Lenovo we have here or anyone you find for a great price. And we're going to show you guys step by step how to put it together and install the operating system Bazzite after a word from today's sponsor.
When it comes to memory and storage, I think it's pretty fair to say that the company we use the most is today's video sponsor, Team Group. The Team Group G50 is a Gen 4 NVMe M.2 SSD. The capacity is ranging between 512 gigs up to 4 terabytes. With read and write speeds reaching 5,000 megabytes per second, the SSDs allow users to enjoy gaming on a new level. It also features an ultra-thin patented graphene heatsink. This allows for better performance and cooling with a 5-year limited warranty on top, so you can rest easy knowing your data is secure. The Vulkan Eco DDR5 RAM comes in a 32 gig kit at 6,000 MHz or 5,600 MHz. With CL30 or CL38 options, there's also XMP 3.0 and AMD Expo overclocking support. The Vulkan Eco also adapts highly efficient heat spreaders made of 80% recycled aluminum. This also makes it the first eco-friendly DDR5 memory for overclocking in the industry, which is insanely cool to see. If you're interested in purchasing the Vulkan Eco DDR5 RAM, the G50 SSD, check out the link in the description down below. Now, let's get back to that video.
Okay guys, so this is a guide. We're actually going to show you how to do this step by step, but it's going to be really straightforward. Our specific system we have right here is a Lenovo small form factor tower with an i5-9400 in it. We also have 16 gigs of DDR4 memory, and it said it came with a 256 gig SSD, but to my surprise, what showed up was a 1 terabyte Samsung drive. But for the sake of the video, because I didn't know if this concept was even going to work when I originally planned it, I had to swap in another SSD for testing, but we will use that 1 terabyte drive again when we show you guys how to install it on your own. And we also going to be plopping in this really cool GPU, which Jackson and I have used before in other videos. This is the WX4100, which is a low profile GPU from the Polaris generation. We paid about $59 for this GPU, and the reason we're going with this card is it is supported in Bazzite, and again, it's low profile, which is the biggest downside that we know of these systems.
Yeah, that's kind of what's made these systems less appealing over the years is workstations exist now like the P520 where they have big power supplies, they have big rooms so you can actually put a large card in there, and they actually have external power for PCIe. So that's where getting one of these small form factors is fun because you got to try to find a GPU like this one that can actually work in it. And of course you do have the caveat too with these where you have the mini display ports, so you have to buy like the $5 to $10 adapters, but it's pretty cool that this is under $200.
Yeah, it's going to be a budget system. Don't expect to play AAA titles. You're really using this as like an indie library killer where you have a bunch of different games that you may have in your Steam library, haven't played in a while. That's what this is great for, especially for controller setups. And again, if you don't know what Bazzite is, it's an operating system similar to SteamOS that is Linux-based. We can install it on this PC very easy, which we will show you guys how to do, how to download the ISO, make the USB and everything so you won't get lost along the way. And then you'll see how cool it is to have something like this in, let's say, a game room or a living room setup to where you can take an old PC that may just be rotting away in terms of the landfills to a budget office computer that you can use for work and also gaming on the side. Let's not waste any more time and show you guys how to install this graphics card into this PC.
All right, so this should be very, very straightforward. And Matt's already made a little mod for you guys that did you video that?
Yes, I did get video of it, so I'll show it on screen here. So you might see one glaring issue with these Lenovos. This bar right here gets in the way of pretty much any GPU. Honestly, I thought this low profile card would work fine, but even this one, it gets in the way. So what we had to do, once we take off this front panel, we'll be able to lift this up very easily to show you guys. It was made just a little cut right here to where the GPU could slot right in. Now, this is not the safest in terms of metals. Be careful where you touch. But again, we're doing a $200 budget build. There's gonna be some jankiness about it, but once you get your GPU in, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, and you can just get like Harbor Freight sells the little tin snips for like $5 or less. But yeah, basically all you gotta do for this low profile card, and this goes for really any low profile card, is lift this up to make things a little bit easier to access. You're going to also open this right here. It's this little toolless, you know, minus having to cut. I guess you need a tool for that. And then we're gonna line up our card with this PCIe lane. Make sure we're lined up there, and then you'll notice this should kind of sit on this little nub there. We also have a little expansion card there for USB 3. And then should just close. Your card should be pretty stable, and if you made your cut in the right spot, you should be able to do something like that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's it.
And ours just came with this random USB expansion card. Again, we had an extra drive that we didn't think we were gonna get, and we had this expansion card, which again, I have a different drive in here right now that has games preloaded for testing, just to save us some time. But whatever drive you end up getting, I recommend getting a decent sized one so you can put a good amount of games on it. You'll have a really good experience. But the biggest thing is I really recommend you get an SSD, especially if you buy one of these things. They're probably gonna come with a hard drive depending on how old you go. Getting an SSD will make this a much better experience.
So now that we've shown you how to install this GPU, the minor modifications you gotta make, make. We're going to show you guys how to actually make the Linux USB. It's all free. It's very easy, so just follow along and Matt will show you how to do that.
All right, guys, let's show you how you need to make your USB to install either Bazzite or SteamOS. But before that, I want to give a little explainer on why I really recommend you go the Bazzite route instead of the SteamOS route, especially if you're a beginner. Now, again, this is a fun project, so maybe you want to go the official SteamOS route. I say official with parentheses because, again, we'll talk about that in a second. But if you want to make it easy on yourself, just go Bazzite. And the reason I'm saying that is because SteamOS, you can install SteamOS on a lot of different things. We did our video on it. It's a little finicky, but it's not super difficult once you figure out that you need to disable Secure Boot, sometimes enable CSM, and run a graphics card that is AMD and especially a slightly older AMD GPU. Sometimes 9000 series is supported, sometimes it's not. Why am I randomly getting a bunch of downloads for the Steam Deck recovery image? What the heck just happened there? Ignore that. You gotta make sure Secure Boot is enabled. You gotta make sure that you have a proper AMD GPU. You gotta make sure, I believe an AMD CPU, I don't know if an Intel CPU will work on it, but realistically, because of all these requirements, and the reason there are so many requirements is because all you're actually downloading is not an official OS from Steam, like Windows giving you an ISO for Windows 11. You're getting an image that is used to recover Steam Decks, which is the OS that Steam Deck used, SteamOS. So basically, you're getting an ISO, and you can install on stuff, but you got to kind of trick the ISO that you're using, quote-unquote, Steam Deck hardware. So you can make it work, and if you want to see our full video on that, go watch that video. We dove into it, had a bunch of issues troubleshooting, but we got it to work. I just recommend Bazzite because Bazzite is designed to have the SteamOS look and functionality, but it actually works with hardware that you can do with, and a bunch of different hardware. So in this video, we're gonna focus on Bazzite. Bazzite's gonna be the best option, but hopefully in the future when Steam releases an official version of SteamOS, we can install that on absolutely everything and we'll get all the updates from Steam and have a really good time. But Bazzite will give you a really good time and it's super easy to set up. So we're gonna go to bazzite.gg, we're gonna go to download Bazzite, scroll all the way down here, and what we're going to do is pick our hardware. As I mentioned, we have more hardware support. I've yet to use an NVIDIA GPU on Bazzite. Maybe I will soon, and we'll test that in a future video. But what's also cool about Bazzite is you can install it on a bunch of different handhelds. As you see right here, we have the ROG Ally, the Ally X, which I do use at home. We also have different laptops. We have tablets. We have the original Steam Deck. If you, for whatever reason, want to install Bazzite on a Steam Deck, you can do that. Some Aya Neos. There's a lot of different stuff you can use Bazzite for, but we're going to be creating a home theater PC, which it makes the console experience default. So when you boot in, you're in the console environment, which is what we're looking for to make a console PC. And then we're going to pick our GPU. Once again, you need an AMD GPU of RX 4000 series or greater. We also need an NVIDIA GPU in the RTX series or the 1600 series or greater. So you can't go really old NVIDIA here if you are building one of these with NVIDIA GPU. And Intel, you could just go Arc Plus. So that's pretty cool. Now we're going to go ahead and pick an AMD GPU because that's what we're running here. And I will say your mileage may vary at home. You might be able to get away with an older GPU if you want to, but we're going to go with AMD for our primary GPU. And we're going to choose KDE for our desktop environment. I don't think our desktop environment is going to be very important for this scenario, but KDE is probably the one I would recommend you go with just to have the most SteamOS-like experience with Bazzite. So then what you're going to do is download Bazzite Deck. I already have it downloaded. The next thing you're going to get is download Rufus, which is a program that makes bootable flash drives. You'll also need, you're gonna disconnect noise, a flash drive. This is a 32 gig flash drive. You really only need a 16 gig flash drive, but these Micro Center drives are very cheap on Amazon. You can get a bunch of them. They work really well. So you get one of these, you're gonna plug it into your PC, make sure you download Rufus, and then you're gonna open up Rufus. Can I plug in a flash drive, Matt? You're gonna open up Rufus. This is what Rufus looks like. And Rufus is going to detect your flash drive. There's a 32 gig flash drive right here. And then you're going to select your image. Go to where you downloaded Bazzite, which again, look at all these Linux distros I have. Here's Bazzite. We're gonna click on that. We're gonna leave everything at default, and we're just gonna hit start. And then it's gonna make your USB. It's gonna go through a bunch of loading, and then it'll say it's done. And then from there, unplug your flash drive. And now we're ready to try to install it on our PC. Again, your miles may vary depending on what graphics card you have. We're going pretty old for our GPU, but for my testing off camera, it does actually work. Now let's go ahead and show you guys how to install Bazzite, what settings you need to set in the BIOS, because there are some that are very important for you to do before you can install Bazzite. And then hopefully we'll get to some console gaming. All right, guys, now that we have our Bazzite USB ready, what we're gonna go ahead and do is plug up the flash drive into the front port here. Again, doesn't really matter. You can plug it into a USB 3, USB 2, just make sure it's in an active port. And if you don't have Windows installed or another operating system already installed, you can just let it boot directly to this drive, but you will need to do one setting first in the BIOS. Now, we need to get into the BIOS to verify that we have Secure Boot disabled. And your BIOS key may vary depending on the manufacturer of your computer. Lenovo, for example, with this ThinkCenter is F1. It could be F2, it could be F8, F9 delete. You can Google it, you can find your specific manufacturer and figure out what the BIOS key is. But now we're in the BIOS, we need to go to security options. And then from here, we're going to scroll all the way down to Secure Boot. We're going to make sure that is disabled. As you guys can see right here, it is disabled for me currently. And we also want to ensure that CSM is set to disabled as well. This will not work if you have Secure Boot enabled, especially when installing Bazzite. So you need to have those disabled. Then from there, you can go ahead and hit save and exit. And depending if you have an operating system installed already, it may boot directly to the drive, or you need to do a boot override key, which I believe for Lenovo is F12. The boot override key was F12. As you guys can see, we're in the startup menu devices, and we're gonna go ahead and hit our USB partition 2. And from here, it should boot to your flash drive. What we're gonna do is hit install Bazzite Deck 41. Normally this does take a little bit here. There's gonna be a bunch of information popping up on screen. It's gonna load into a launcher, throws a bunch of information that makes it look incredibly scary. And now we're in the Bazzite installer. From here, you're gonna select your language of choice. We're gonna go with English here, hit continue. Then you have the option to set your time and date and your keyboard, which again, we have this auto set. We're at our time zone that is needed. We're gonna hit our installation destination. We have this SSD here, which is automatically selected. Our 1 terabyte SSD that we mentioned came with our system. It realizes our drive is completely wiped, so it doesn't need to do any sort of formatting. If you do have an OS already installed, it'll ask you to reclaim space, pop up all the partitions, and you hit a button that says reclaim space. From there, you will then have a blank drive that can install Bazzite on it. Then you're gonna go to user creation. We're going to do Toasty for the username. The password, we're going to do 1234. 1234. I recommend actually doing a secure password, but this one's just a temporary install, so don't worry about it. If you are going to want to do anything in terminal, you will need a good password to remember. So we have Toasty, username Bazzite 1234. It's going to yell at us saying the password is too short, and we're going to use it anyways. And then we're going to hit begin installation. Now we just wait for the install. Depending on your system, it could take a few minutes or it could take up to 10 to 15 minutes. I've seen it go a wide range of different ways, but once it's done, it'll say complete, and then you can hit reboot system in the bottom right corner, which I'll show you guys in a minute, but we're gonna cut to the install being complete. Okay guys, now we should be able to hit reboot system. It says complete, no failures, let's go. That's not always the case. Sometimes you may have some issues, but as long as you got to this part, you're good to go. We're gonna hit reboot system. Get rid of our flash drive, we don't need that anymore. Save that USB though, because you'll use it to install on a bunch of things. You'll get addicted to Bazzite like I'm addicted to it. It does sound like a drug, doesn't it, when you say you're addicted to Bazzite? All right, so on the first boot, it's gonna look a little scary. It's gonna like say, do you wanna do this, you wanna do that? Just don't touch anything. Just let it run. As long as everything is set up properly, you shouldn't have to touch anything. It's gonna boot into Bazzite, it's gonna do a bunch of first time setup stuff, and then you'll be good to go. Running an update, then it'll restart again and take us to what looks like the Steam Deck setup. And look at that, guys, we are now in Bazzite. Now I'm gonna go ahead and grab a controller because a controller is the best way to navigate this interface because it is designed for controller. You can use a keyboard and mouse and there is a desktop environment, but for this video, considering we're making a cheap game console, we're gonna go ahead. As you guys can see, I got my Xbox controller ready to go and it is, I'm not hitting the right buttons. Working, perfect. All right, we're gonna go English. We're gonna set our time zone. We're gonna use our Ethernet. It's installing some more updates. I always love seeing this update may take some time. Your battery is low. Steam, I do not have a Steam Deck. I'm using a desktop. There is no battery. But it's gonna go ahead and install that. It's gonna shut down. It's gonna reboot and give me the Steam sign-in screen. Okay guys, I swapped to the capture card to make things a little bit easier to see now that we're in the installed already stage. And now what we're gonna go ahead and do is sign into Steam. Now, again, you just use your normal Steam account. I'm gonna go ahead and scan the QR code to make my life a little bit easier because I have Steam on my phone. And from here, you'll have access to your Steam library in a console-like environment. It's very simple, very cool. And then I will demo you guys what it looks like. Hey, welcome to Big Picture. So basically it's Steam Big Picture mode, but it's its own operating system. But you do get a lot of customization options you normally don't get with Steam Steam big picture. For example, if you hit the Xbox button plus A, you do get access to some customization options. One thing I like to turn on is the performance overlay. You also get a frame rate limiter if you want to, which I am going to disable, so we have maximum FPS we can get. But if we're running a 60 hertz display, might as well run a frame rate limit. You know, you can do that as you want to. But the performance overlay will show us FPS. You can do some TDP limits. You can do some manual GPU overclocking, and it's just very easy from a controller. Now, one other thing I like to show you guys is we'll go into the settings here. It does show under system that we have an update we can't apply, which we will run that update. But if you scroll down from system, let's keep scrolling down here, you will see all our specs. So we have the 9400, we have our 6 cores and 6 threads, we have 16 gigs of RAM, and we have our GPU, the WX4100, and we didn't have to install any drivers. It is currently using the compatibility profile that is baked into this operating system, and it allows us to just run that native driver without any issues. We can use the Proton layer to run non-native Linux games on this, just like the Steam Deck would, and it just works out of the box. Especially because the WX4100 is a Polaris-based GPU, it just works just like an RX 570 or 580 would, so which is really nice, and it's low profile, and the power is just enough to play our esports titles. So I'm not gonna waste any more time. You are set up and ready to game, but let's show you how our system will perform. And again, your mileage may vary depending on what kind of hardware you go with, but we'll show you guys some benchmarks of games we think make sense for our build at $200. All right, guys, we are now in Hollow Knight, which is a good example of an indie title that I think works great for this little console setup. And we're currently running the following settings. We are on, let's go to video, currently running 1080p, normal particle effects, and medium blur quality. And it does have a frame rate cap set on in game, but we're actually overriding that. But I'll just turn that off just to be safe, because we are using the setting here where you disable the frame rate limit, and we do have our overlay setup that is built in on the max profile. Now you can see on the top left, the first GPU 0 is at 0%. I believe that is the iGPU of the CPU, because we have a 9400 non-F, so we do have an iGPU, but that actual GPU is at 100% load, and you can see temperatures and everything while we're gaming. Again, this is running great. I mean, if I were sitting on a living room couch setup, I'd be playing this. If you have like one of the newer like 1080p high refresh rate displays that you can get, you also have the option to play this and get a smooth experience. So being able to play Hollow Knight is nothing to write home about, but the fact that it is running on a really cheap system, and you could get a PC for free and follow this guide at home and get even more price performance, it's still really cool to see. Oh goodness, I just got hit. But me personally, I'm gonna go in here and I'm going to run the frame rate limit, because I think that's just gonna be the more enjoyable experience. It does actually feel a bit smoother. The frame times are actually much more chill running at a lock 60 than maxing out the FPS. It can do it, but it just adds a little bit of stutter that I feel is kind of unnecessary. And with these older indie games, I mean, there's room to go up to higher resolutions as well, because a lot of people have budget 4K TVs. This game, you could get close to 60 with this little budget GPU, or if you go with a higher and newer GPU, like a low profile 3050 or something like that, you could play these indie games at 4K on a little couch setup, depending on what your setup is. But hey, Hollow Knight, running really dang good. Let's try another game. All right, guys, of course, if we're gonna make a Steam console, we need to play Valve games. So what we have right here is Portal 2, a classic, currently running 1080p. I believe, let's see, advanced video, we're on a little lower detail. Actually lower this to times 8, because that's kind of high. But the goal here again is to get a lock 60 FPS, and it looks like we're getting it, baby. But yeah, once again, this is a game that runs very well. Again, games like Left 4 Dead and those kind of titles, you'll have no problem getting a 60 FPS experience, depending on how you optimize your settings. And this guy's gonna try to kill me, I can already tell. Just for the fun of it too, I'm going to turn off the frame rate limit here, just so we can see what we could get theoretically. And yeah, I mean, look, we got a lot of FPS room to work with. We get 183 FPS. Again, you have higher resolution options for these older games as well. I'm not gonna go too far into this one, but this is a fun game that you should definitely try playing. And with this console, with the level of power we have, no problem running it at all. Let's try some other games.
All right, I'm playing Skyrim the freaky way. I'm on a controller right now, which I don't even know the controls, but
you can swing.
Yeah, you can swing, and you can see we're maintaining like close to 60 FPS. We're dropping down to like 45 at times, but yeah, for a $200 build.
But yeah, no, again, this older game, and this little RX GPU, oh, you're like killing your friend. The little RX GPU, it has its ability in indie titles. Once you get even older AAA titles, it starts to have a few issues here and there, but talk about a $50 low profile card. It's got some limitations.
I mean, we're probably getting a couple more FPS than we would be if we were on Windows, because we don't have anti-malware and all that stuff running in the background, which, you know, there are cool ways in Windows that you can limit that, but it sucks that you even have to do that. It's nice that Linux just does it for you. I'm already pre-swinging you, fam. Oh my God.
Ooh.
what was his name? Giant Fist?
Giant?
Oh, Giant the Fist.
And that doesn't mean you can't go Windows if you want to with this configuration. Just because it's an older Office PC, you can still get Windows 11 installed if it has support, or you can follow our guide where we show you guys how to install unsupported hardware.
All right, well, yeah, Skyrim's looking pretty good. This looks sick. Let's go ahead and test out another game. We are now testing out Peak, or as I like to call it, Peakerton. We're on controller again because that's the kind of the point of this. You know, you want to be on like your couch, and we're definitely running some low settings. I can just tell. 920 by 1080, max frame rate of 87. So
I don't think we're hitting it, so that's kind of where we're at.
And then we're kind of at like medium low settings, but we are in 1080p, which you could probably lower to 720 to maybe get the visuals back a little bit, but still get some like high FPS. But it's playable. You know, this is a pretty easy to run indie title that's doing great. We're starting to see indie titles really take off too, so don't sleep on these you know, Bazzite style Linux PCs for indie stuff, because I know a lot of you are probably thinking, well, I only play like Call of Duty and stuff. A lot of these indie titles are becoming as big as some of those large AAA games.
Yeah, with them become more popular, you have a little dedicated PC you can play them on.
Let's see if we can climb.
Can we climb?
The whole point of this game
is just climbing.
You guys ready to see RV there yet? We made it.
You can watch us play these goofy games over on twitch.tv/ToastyBros.
We do it once a month for the giveaway stream. We play every Sunday. It's a fun time. Yeah, it's looking pretty, so we're getting like 60 FPS. It's weird, it doesn't quite feel like 60. It almost feels slow motion, but I think that's just how the game is.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of stutters. I think it is a bit of frame time lag.
Maybe.
Because based on the frame time graph, it is a little all over the place, but it is playable. It's just not the smoothest experience. So depending on what GPU you go with, you'll get a different experience. And you can spend money on like a 550 low profile. I mentioned the 3050 low profile is an option as well. There's a bunch of different things you could do for this to get even more performance. Just depends on how much you want to spend.
Maybe if you're lucky on eBay, you'll find a 1650 or a 1050. There's actually a lot more low profile cards than people really think about. It's just sometimes they're hard to find.
Yeah, these are the games that we decided to play for this. Ran through a suite of benchmarks and showed you guys how to build this yourself for $200. It's pretty cool. Let's go and wrap this video up.
So guys, this is a great example of taking something that probably would have been donated to like an eWay site and actually making it into something cool. And even if you're not into gaming, Linux and even Windows, you know, we have a video out actually coming soon that'll show you how to install Windows still on PCs just like this that are even older, honestly. But the fact that we're keeping these things out of the landfills and into the next generation of gamers' hands is super cool.
And once again, you don't need this specific PC or the specific graphics card we use in this video. This is a general guide that can work with most Office PCs. Your mileage may vary in terms of the step-by-steps of this guide, but hopefully it was informational enough for you to be motivated to, hey, maybe grab that PC out of your closet you haven't used in a long time, or know somebody who's trying to get rid of a really cheap PC. This is a good use for it. But if you want to buy anything from today's video, link in the description down below will be affiliate links. They will help us out. Let us know what you think of this gaming PC guide. Do you enjoy building console PCs like this? Let us know.
But as always, we hope you guys enjoyed today's tutorial and guide. If you did, make sure to check out our other 2 YouTube channels and also our twitch.tv/ToastyBros, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
See you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
So this PC will actually be for sale at PCBros.tech, and we'll likely put Windows on it, and you can even buy Windows installers from us as well.
PCBros.tech, you can buy budget gaming PCs or high-end builds, whatever you want. We got you covered. Use code ToastyBros on checkout. You will save 3% your next purchase. See you guys later. Bye-bye.